Hey again, Josh with Convo by Design for another installment of WestEdge Wednesday. All of the panels and programs from the 2024 WestEdge Design Fair. The stage where all these programs took place was designed by Julie Berline of JKB Home Design, and the theater at WestEdge this year was presented by Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, and an absolutely remarkable partner to the design trade. So thank you, Pacific Sales. And thank you, Julie. Great job. This week's program is the 2024 Color Mix presented by Sherwin-Williams. This is always, every year, this Color Mix panel is always a hit. Everybody loves it, and why not, right? This program was moderated by Ashlynn Bourque of Sherwin-Williams and Almira, also of Sherwin-Williams, featuring Breegan Jane of Breegan Jane, Kerrie Kelly of Kerrie Kelly Studio, Patrick Ediger Interior Design, and Eddie Maestri of Maestri Studio. So much fun. It's so much fun. You're absolutely going to love this. Ashlynn, take it away.
It is such a treat to be at WestEdge. We're so excited. My name is Ashlynn Bourque. I'm the Designer Marketing Manager for Sherwin-Williams for the Southwestern Division. And so basically everything from Arkansas to Hawaii is in our area. And we're just so excited to be here today. I also want to introduce Almira. You want to say a couple words?
Thanks, Ashlynn. Thank you, everybody. Hi, welcome. So my name is Almira. I am the Designer Account Executive at Sherwin-Williams, and I've been with the company for nearly 15 years, covering the San Diego and the Palm Springs area.
Yeah. And then we have this amazing, talented and distinguished panel of designers here. And so, Breegan, if y'all could introduce yourselves?
I'm Breegan Jane. I'm an interior designer with a firm for over a decade now, and been all over HGTV. And it's just great to be in my hometown. I am a California girl, so I love WestEdge.
I'm Eddie Maestri. I grew up in New Orleans, and I'm based in Dallas. We have offices in Dallas and Los Angeles. We do architecture, interior design, and landscape architecture, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm Kerrie Kelly from Kerrie Kelly Studio, and I'm a designer by trade, but now working really closely with brands and consulting with them all over the world. And I sit on the NKBA board. Thank you for having me. I'm out of Sacramento, California.
Hi, I'm Patrick Ediger, and I'm based here in Los Angeles. I've been an interior designer for some time, but I've had my own business for maybe 12 years now, and specializing in residential design, but also I have a small boutique wallpaper company called French American Wallpaper, and we're repped by Una Milan here in Los Angeles.
Oh, fantastic. Ooh. So bringing power to this color conversation, I'm so excited. Titled this Unlock Your Color Potential because, color is so important to all of us, and I think from so many different aspects. So we'll just have a conversation about color. And I know one of the things that I as you guys have projects, we'll just get to the meat of it, right? So where does color evolve from your projects, from that design standpoint? How do you start that process?
I can start.
Okay, I love it.
So I'm always looking at three different things. I'm looking at the architecture of a space. What is it calling for? What is it asking for? Spanish colonial is going to be very different from mid-century modern. I'm going to be looking at the environment. So, is it surrounded by trees? Is it next to the ocean? And then I'm also going to be looking at the clients and listening to what they like. A lot of clients have very, very specific emotions around color. They hate yellow. They love pink. So it really is kind of like a threefold formula that brings me to, my color choices throughout the house.
Oh, I love that.
I would say the same thing, and then really considering the natural light that's coming in and how that plays, and having clients live with that color for a while and see that morning, noon, and night as that chameleon effect happens, as we know. And really tapping into their personalities and creating the flow for the space, both on the interior and the exterior, especially in California.
I was going to second that. So because most of our projects are turnkey architecture all the way through landscape, we want to make sure the palette goes through the entire space, including the outdoors. We always start with the client and what they're drawn to, what makes them happy, their favorite places. That's usually where we begin.
Oh, cool.
I think color really helps define the personality of the project and the branding of the space and the home. It really is where you start to tell your story. So color is one of the first few things I choose to lock in because it's like the first chapter in the book.
Yeah. Oh, those are really great answers. Like, there's so many components, right? It's not just a one-size-fits-all. Ro, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love that, taking into what your clients and customers really want and need. From a designer's standpoint, I think that's such a great point because I think on the other hand, there are some people out there that are like, oh, I think, do designers just go in there and pick color for me and kind of bring them into the process? It's great to hear that from all of you. So thank you. Let's get into the next question.
Yeah, sure.
Or
Yeah.
do you guys have anything else to say or add? Okay. So where do you all find inspiration? Who wants to start?
I think every designer here will answer with me, travel. We all love to travel. We like to be inspired and go new places. We have our favorite places that usually you can kind of pick out in our work. But for me, that's a huge part of it. And I know it's the cliche answer, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was going to second that. I think that's my main source of inspiration for design and color is travel. I, as an architect, also love old architecture, like old buildings. Those palettes of, classical buildings even that have the muted colors where things were painted. I love that. So I always pull inspiration from that. We just finished a room at Kips Bay, Dallas, and the inspiration for my room was Paris meets Kyoto. So that was a fun color palette there too.
Yeah, it was a great space too, I have to say.
Well, with that
Definitely
travel,
amazing.
I think we're typically eating and drinking and finding these found objects and things along throughout our travels. And I find that that's inspiring, especially with the color palettes and the capsules that you have here. There's those grounding colors that even a spice effect or a earth tone effect that's coming through in these palettes. And food has just oddly been another thing that's inspired along the way.
Yeah.
I would say that to take that one step further, for me, it would be environmental. Really looking at the environment around the house. So, for example, if I were doing a house down in the marina here, I'd be looking at the sand, the sky, the water, but also, the dark rock and the concrete and all the different elements that kind of really build the space and build the color story so that what's going on outside is also reflected on the inside.
No, that's really great. So many different great approaches, but I think it's all, kind of to the conversation we were having a minute ago, holistic, right? Like just driving that all home. And yeah, we try to talk about that in our color forecast and heritage colors, things like that. So really important from a historical standpoint, travel, of course. Yeah, and so in talking about the forecast and the color of your capsule, is there one palette or color that's sort of resonating with you, or how does that look? Kerrie's got
I'll go.
everything right there.
I love bold color. I think right now, I'm really into the stone colors meets like mauve, but I'm also a huge fan of yellow. I love the icy lemonade.
Okay.
Like my kitchen island is yellow, so I just love those statement colors as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot of yellow in HGTV Dream Home last year, which used all the Sherwin-Williams colors of the year, and it's always fun to push ourselves as designers. I personally really like Riverway. I'm a big teal fan, and I think it does really well on cabinets. And blue-green and finding the perfect blue-green is always a challenge for me, and that's one that stands out.
Okay, nice.
Riverway.
I'm really into the Bosch pear. I love autumn colors. I love I mean,
Yes. You are wellspring today, so I love it.
and you know what? I think that to tap into what you guys are saying, you know, we've seen this kind of wave of cabinetry. Of course, a decade ago, everything was white, 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 and it moved to blacks and charcoals, and then we saw the blues and the greens, and then the pinks and purples. And I think this is the next color we're really going to see in kitchens and in baths and in cabinetries.
Okay. Okay. I love that.
Wellspring is my capsule. This is like of choice. You'll see it in our booth. It was very inspiring to be able to use these as color blocks throughout the Connoisseurs Club. And it's so interesting to me how there's so many neutrals here, but also colors that are making a statement. And I think when I was talking about the food being inspiration, we do have these spice-like colors, or even pear-like colors, but also what you may see as the backdrop as far as being a plate or that found object that we're talking about. So making a statement while still being neutral, I felt like that capsule really showed how you could do that.
No, absolutely.
And there's a beautiful example.
Yes, yes. No, exactly. Yeah, Kerrie has our booklet that's on all of your seats there, so you can take a
Also,
look.
bravo for picking a lot of colors. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the reality
that's
of the world.
hard.
Is one color doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's nice to see a rainbow.
Yeah.
Well, in our forecast, we normally have 4 palettes that, you know, we have different themes associated with the palettes because, you know, to your point, color's not a one-size-fits-all. It's definitely a personality thing, and so, and speaking to that, and even our Color Capsule of the Year, we're celebrating 15 years of having a Color of the Year, and so we felt like 9 colors, which actually some of them are colors that aren't in the forecast, but we pulled them out as Colors of the Year. They're all very similar, though. And I know Grounded's one, and the Mauve Finery, and now my brain's just failing me. Clove, yes. So lots of great color there. Ro, do you have a favorite palette?
So my favorite part of our color forecast are really the stories behind it. And my favorite is Wellspring. And you had mentioned it earlier about found objects, and that was my favorite, part of the presentation where we talk about found objects that, you know, what to someone may seem like a piece of trash really is something that is meaningful to you, and in a world where digital is the overconsumption of the digital world right now, maybe the found objects is the therapy that we all need, is what it says in the forecast, and I just love that. So my favorite palette would have to be Wellspring and the colors associated with it.
Yeah. I'm probably more representing Paradox today, but which is the dopamine drench craziness. So there I am. With dragon fruit and what is that? Greek Villa or one of the off-whites. Anyway, and so and continuing that conversation to wellness.
So let's get into your go-to Sherwin-Williams colors and why, or color. Go-to Sherwin-Williams color and why is that?
I'll go. I find that, you know, whites are always super hard. And our go-to has been Alabaster and Snowbound.
You stole mine too.
I'm glad I went first.
All designers think alike.
Those have just been go-tos for probably almost 20 years now, or 15 years, and iron ore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
I want to speak a little bit more to this, though. So mine is Alabaster too, and the reason is because in Los Angeles, our light is so filtered with yellow that ivory is a really, really hard color to pick. Yeah. It's like almost impossible. It's so easy for it to turn yellow, just, you know. Yep. And so, like, that's the wonderful thing about Alabaster is that it's got the right amount of brown, it's got the right amount of pink to actually, when it's painted, on a wall or even millwork, it looks like ivory.
Yep, and it balances the warm tones and the cool tones. Alabaster is the exterior of my house. Snowbound's the interior of my house. Salty Dog is the accent, and my husband will tell. He knows it by heart. Like, these are the signature colors of our home, honey. You know, so and Alabaster again, and Snowbound again and again.
I use
no
it all the
problem.
time.
Always a success story.
Yeah. And Murph is that salty dog.
Murph is the salty dog. Blonde glitter everywhere.
Yes. And talking about color and talking about favorites, and we were just saying, like, color's not a one size fits all, but we also know that color can help us with, we talked about neuroaesthetics in the forecast and how it helps us in so many ways, sometimes from a physiological, neurological reaction that we're not even aware of, but how from a wellness, holistic standpoint do you approach color with your clients to embody that?
Well, my most difficult client this year was my own son for his bedroom.
I can't imagine why.
And he's very particular, and his room is great. It's photographed in the new book that's coming out, but he really wanted blue. And blue can be so basic for a boy that I was like, we have to do this so elevated. It's blue and graffiti, and what you're picturing is not this room. It has this very, like, almost royal quality to it because we used a lot of trim work and we used a lot of gold accents and then leaned into, like, these natural woods. But it was a challenge for Mom, you know? He would have been happy if I had just slapped up bright blue. But what was really interesting is I fell asleep in his bedroom the other day, and it is so, like, cavernous in this comfortable way that I think is so perfect for an aging boy. He's 11, and it's like, boys need their little caves. And it makes for good quality sleep. It was so interesting.
Oh, that's really cool. So I love that. I'm boy mom too, so I love that.
Even more than the color for me, and I know you wouldn't do this, getting clients to get beyond the accent wall and just commit to the entire room. I think that psychology and the flow from room to room is more of a thing than the actual color so much.
And why are they terrified to paint the ceiling?
I don't know.
You have
I don't know.
Ceiling
We
all
have
the way.
6 walls to play with, you know, floor, ceiling, and the 4 walls. And so just really committing to that so that it can envelop you and feel like cashmere, whatever the color may be, versus this, like, why is that just there and the rest of the walls are white, you know, kind of thing.
Sorry. I also find that, you know, a home should make you just happy and comfortable. And clients get so scared of that commitment and just selecting the color that makes them happy. So I always just encourage them to go bold and let's just figure out how to incorporate the color. I've had clients say, you know, we love pink, but we're scared to put it in the house because I have 3 boys. And I was like, no, we can make that work, you know? So I just feel like surrounding yourself with the colors that make you feel happy, I mean, that's just should be a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, your
Exactly.
Yellow Island.
Love
Yeah.
my island.
Let's go for chartreuse.
The fact is, paint is the easiest thing to change.
Right.
So why exactly? So you know, why not go? Why not push that a little bit? And if it's, you know, what I find is that if I ever compromise with a client and I ever say, okay, we'll go 1 shade lighter, they always say, you were right. We're going to repaint the room. We should have gone that shade darker every single time.
That's
So I don't
interesting.
compromise anymore.
Yeah, no. Yes, I know this is what we're doing. I'm saving you money, like not having to repaint.
Trust your designer.
Trust your designer, for sure.
Well, I think this brings us to a great segue to our next topic because it kind of sounds like color drenching, right? So, and it's so popular right now. So how, is that something that you're really recommending to your clients? And also, what would make it right for a project? And also, what would cause it to be like, no, we are not doing that?
So for me, it really depends on the house and on the space. You know, where it goes right is in smaller spaces, and I think, you know, the powder room is the cliche, but like dining room, spaces where you want more intimacy and more personal connection. Where it doesn't work is in, larger spaces, in open concept, spaces where you have a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, and, that's going to feel like, if you paint that all blue, it's going to feel like the bottom of a swimming pool. So, there's this concept in architecture called compression and release. And what's really, really amazing about color drenching is that it allows you to create these spaces that feel very intimate and small and hug you. And then you walk into a much larger space, just adjacent, and you have this huge, almost emotional release. And it's just it really, really creates the emotion, the drama, the story that, is really, really special in design.
Yeah, I love it for, like you said, the smaller spaces, the powder room, the dining room, that sort of thing. But I think rooms that have more architecture to them, I'm looking for more layers of color versus the drenching. So really highlighting the dental molding and the baseboards and the casework and that sort of thing in a different way. But I fully agree with what you're saying with that big hug coming into a space. And just a tease, we're designing the Fabuwood booth, and I see Julie Ireland out here, and she has a beautifully color-drenched space. She went very bold in a blush pink color. So there's your teaser for KBIS. And it's all Sherwin-Williams color, so get ready.
I'm not afraid to color drench an entire large space. I just think it needs to be a consistent color, but also have a really good balance. It just has to have that balance to make it work. But again, architectural details, if everything is painted the same color, I love that look where the ceiling, the moldings, the walls, everything's the same color.
I think people don't realize how difficult color drenching is when you're talking about matching hues and tones as well. So if you haven't played with it as a designer, just know it is more of a challenge, I think, than people recognize when you do it well. Yeah. Michael actually helped me color drench my boys' room, and the rug is also an over dye. But the samples we had to ship back and forth, and even just figuring out the pull down drapes being the same color, every brand sort of coming together in one hue was a difficult task that takes friends.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. And it's great to have those resources from your vendors, whether it be paint or rugs or, kitchen cabinets or appliances that would support, your, that vision coming to life within your project too. And so, in talking about projects, and maybe we've already talked about it, but if you have one standout project that you're really proud of, that you feel like is timeless and maybe your best use of color. Maybe it's your son's room, but maybe it's something else.
Actually, you mentioned chartreuse earlier, and this is a little chartreuse on it, but I did Anne Sisteron's jewelry store, and it was her first sort of flagship store on sort of in that Rodeo area, and her favorite color is chartreuse. Oh. And she came to me with that, and I was like, how am I going to make chartreuse sophisticated? This is just such a difficult color. And I am absolutely in love with her store. We went all in. I did a custom painted wallpaper toile for her that she uses for all her branding now, because I was like, we can't use a brand for wallpaper because then you can't use it on your bags because they own it. Which eventually got me into wallpaper design. So chartreuse is fun, and if you haven't seen Anne Sisteron's jewelry store, it's just a fun little jewel box that I am proud of.
I need to see that. Oh my gosh, sounds amazing.
We had a project, the super fun clients that were just, the clients you love that just say yes to everything that you recommend. Beautiful 1920s colonial home, and she let us go very bold with red. And red is really hard to pull off and do, but gorgeous details on the kitchen cabinetry. We had this entire wall of cabinets that was, bright red. We had it in the banquette, also in the back of the bookcases. It was stunning.
Similar to what you were saying earlier, we have a home for a family in Lake Tahoe, and they also rent it out. So we pulled the colors from the environment. And when you don't know where to start with the client, when the client doesn't have a specific idea of color, to be able to pull from the environment and use those blues and those rough-hewn leathers and nubby fabrics and have your colors complement that. I think it feels so good. And so this was the first time I've ever been able to live in a space that I designed for someone else. And to be like, dang, like this, damn, I'm good. Like, no, this does make a difference to take all these things in layers into consideration and have that environment translate to the outdoors. It really is a true testament to what we do.
I think right now I'm working on, I love old homes. I love older spaces. I'm working on a 1920s Spanish colonial right now. And unfortunately, over the past 100 years, it has been remodeled beyond recognition. And just, it's something we're just ripping down the studs and reinventing, what it was. But the only original piece left is in the two-story foyer. There's a, dark-stained pine ceiling, and it still has the original stenciling on it. The orange, the gold, the blue, the green, and because it's 100 years old, it's all dusty hues. It's not pure anymore. So we're actually taking those dusty hues and infusing those all throughout the house, and that is the color palette for the house. Yeah, it's great.
Ooh, I need to see all these projects.
We'll wait 2 years.
Yes, no, I know. On that one for sure, and the other ones, then I'll just scroll your Instagrams and everything and come to Lake Tahoe. Good reason. So no, that's fantastic.
I love that. So next thing, sustainability. Is sustainability important to your clients, and how does that affect your use of materials and color?
I don't feel like our clients are asking for it, me personally. I feel like as designers, we're bringing it to the table, and as manufacturers, you guys are the safety net in that, whether it's no VOC paint or sustainable products that come from our furnishings and our materials and such, it's baked in now. Unless you're going for LEED certification somewhere where you need to really be tracking everything, our homes are becoming very sustainable just because of what manufacturers are doing. So if our clients want to tout that, now they can. But I don't find that my clients specifically ask for that. It's more of a wellness conversation versus a sustainability conversation.
Okay, that's fair.
I would say most of our clients are not asking, but we do have a handful that are very concerned about it. And I find that it's the clients also that are doing their forever homes that are more conscious of that.
Very cool.
And, I would say that maybe our clients aren't asking for it, but what I'm noticing is reading between the lines, my clients have gone in the last 5 years from driving, Range Rovers and big, expensive gas guzzlers to EVs and Teslas and things like that. So I think they actually are asking for it. They just aren't doing it overtly. That's what I'm seeing.
And I think it's our responsibility to kind of lead that conversation and try to source in a way that they don't have to be concerned about it. They've hired us to do our job, and if we're doing it right and morally, these are things we're constantly re-educating ourselves on, asking the questions about, so it's on our shoulders.
We're the gatekeepers of everything that goes into their house, so therefore it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I love that. And as gatekeepers, you kind of have control over that conversation. And as designers too, you are the expert. Your clients don't know about all the various products and resources that are actually out there and available to enhance their home to make it the best it can be. So I love that. And I'm going to skip questions, but I'm going to say if you could, and I don't know where we are with time. I just want to, we're really good. Okay, so we can keep talking, but just to make sure this gets worked in, we have a new podcast called Color Mixology, and that's led by our Director of Color Marketing, Sue Wadden. And she's talking to a lot of people about color, and obviously that was sort of my inspiration for this talk. If you had to create your own color and name it, can you describe that color, and what would the name be? So I know I kind of threw that out last minute, but...
Where's Courtney? Courtney, are you here? You saw the teal in Ibiza, right? I have been trying, Courtney has been on my PR team from the beginning, and I have described this color teal to her for years. I've described it in magazines, but until you're in the water and you actually see it, it is just life-changing. And hopefully you guys have been to a beach that makes you feel that way, because you're just like, Oh, God is an amazing painter. So yeah, that teal is like my identity as a human being.
Okay. Would you call it Ibiza? Would you
You would
call
have
it
to.
Breegan?
You would
could call
have
it-
to.
You could call it-
Mermaid, something in there.
I love it. Yeah. Fantastic.
I am absolutely terrible at naming anything, but I'm in a green moment right now. I'm obsessed with green, but my absolute favorite color that calms me is also like a teal turquoise. So I just keep thinking of the same thing, like a beach, but with everything going on right now, I was joking before the panel, I was like, the only name that comes to mind is like Run for the Border. I was like, I need something to make me feel like safe and comfortable, but my front doors are like big, light turquoise, and it's just like, it's my soothing color. So that would also be my color.
So Eddie's turquoise. I love it.
Yeah.
I think water too. It's like the only time we get to like jump into color, like quite literally.
That's so true.
Well, staying with the blue theme, I mean, if you know me, it's typically like a navy blue, kind of a denim. You've already done dress blues, so you already took that one. But I was thinking, in alignment with you, resilient blue would be my color. I think as designers, there's a lot of resiliency that's required, and just being in this world, there's a lot of resiliency that's required, and blue is that thing that always grounds me. I love how you can dress it up, dress it down. It's a classic. I see it as a neutral. Today, I know 14 years ago, 2010, we said that navy blue would be the color of the decade, and I feel like it's still living on. I was raised at Ralph Lauren, and I think it just must be in my blood and never leaves me. So,
Oh, that's
resilient blue.
great. Resilient blue.
I love that.
Yeah.
My color is golden hour. It's my favorite time of day. It's when the whole world glows. And I think it represents me because it is constantly changing, it is constantly moving, it is fleeting, and it turns into peace and quiet. It goes from like big, 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 big to small, 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 small.
Who could make that happen? Do you know a gal or a guy?
Well, and I was just witnessing that on the plane coming here from Cleveland yesterday as we were flying west, and you start to see the sun light ebb and these beautiful colors come across the horizon.
It's gold, it's pink, it's orange, but then it's like midnight blue.
I know. It's so amazing. So golden hour. Oh my gosh. That is fantastic. Ro, do you have...
Oh gosh.
Sorry, putting you on the spot.
Yes, you are. I absolutely love that because there's just something about a breathtaking sunset, and you are so much better at naming colors than I am. But
Sherwin-Williams, if you're looking for a color name area,
yes.
I know someone.
you can use that one too.
Ro and I know someone. We can do it.
So I think the idea of how color, and we mentioned it earlier, and how it constantly changes, and color is not static. I'm just going to use one of my favorite colors and kind of tag on to your golden hour. I want it to be in the name, like ever-changing, right? Like ever-changing blush or ever-changing coral. And I think we need to set that expectation out there that color changes at different times of day. Because I think there's, you think like, oh, why is it changing, right? And clients don't understand that, but we should embrace it. We should say, because it's not static and it's ever moving and it's beautiful that way. So I think if we set that expectation, would be like my goal for color.
Now I want to paint something ever-changing golden hour.
Yeah.
Oh.
Golden hour. No, that's really great.
What about you, Ash? Let me put you on the spot.
This is your tough,
Yes.
hard-hitting
Well,
question.
So I had a different answer yesterday that I'm going to give you two answers actually. My answer yesterday was a blue that would be bright and bold and called Carpe Diem. That doesn't exist in our palette right now. Maybe, if I can talk to those people. As far as a color that's in our palette, a lot of people don't know. I dabble in astrology. And so right now from our designer color collection, Stargazer is kind of it. It's actually in our offices, and it's just this kind of subtle. It's not navy, but it's not gray, and it's just somewhere right in between. There's a decent amount of saturation. I tend towards saturation, but yeah, it's just a very soothing color. Yeah, yeah. So that would be that.
So let's get into this question that we haven't asked yet. So talking about color and its full potential, how do you encourage or inspire others to come fully into their color potential for your projects?
I think it's about embracing personality. You know, really looking at, for example, looking at your client's wardrobe. What do they wear? You know, what makes them feel proud? What makes them feel good? What makes them show up? That's the best place to start, I think.
I love that. Like using like their inner self to bring it out
It's
and
all
embrace
based on
them.
personality. It's all
Yeah,
based
I love
on
that.
how we want to feel and how we want to show up in the world. So yeah, I think that your house is the same.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great
no.
advice. When in doubt, head to their closet. If they're, you know, like just go right in and you'll pull something. Oh no, I don't like that at all. Okay, well, you know, and go
Haven't
through
worn
and
that in
really
20 years.
exactly really narrow it down. I think that's a comfort zone for that conversation for sure.
Yeah, I second, the personality. I think all of our projects are so different, and there's not one that's the same. And I always try to, tell the client, just match your, like, what do you love? Like I said earlier, just kind of what makes you feel happy. So the wardrobe is exactly spot on.
I tend to ask what hotel makes them feel the best and answer me there and not what you want your house to look like. I want to know where you vacation and feel good and then let me pick it apart. And a lot of times there is color in there, but it's like super Western and they don't want a Western house, but they love this one ranch and it has these soothing autumn tones and I can gather a lot of information, but they always struggle with it because they're like, but I don't want my house to look like it. I'm like, let me do my brain job.
No cowboy core? Like, no.
No.
No, but I think, there's just so many ways we can pull color from people and get them excited and inspired, and you guys create all the spaces that just create that feeling of comfort, of the hug, of the timeless tale of their family story or something like that. So really, really great. And I think, I don't know, we've kind of I've run through my list of questions, but I know we could keep talking about color forever. Kerrie,
Is there
you're gonna bail
anything
me out
you
for a
two
minute here.
could tell us about 2026, 2027 when it comes to color? What's coming down the pipeline? Will you continue to do the capsules? Any inside scoop? Because there's only so many of us here. We very tight-lipped.
Inquiring minds want to know. Well, Ro and I were talking at breakfast, right, about the fact that we're not just an architectural coatings company, that we actually produce coatings for a variety of industries, including appliances, industrial wood, cabinets.
Things that in your home that you may not realize that it's Sherwin-Williams, but pretty much anything coated, it could be our brand and our paint. And working with those high-end companies and luxury companies is something that we pride ourselves on, and where we really, put colors together and getting involved with their design team and projecting colors. As those products from design to manufacturing to completion, it takes several years to make happen at times. And so within our company, and working with those designers, we really have to project colors from years on out. And I think, telling that story is awesome, and to be a part of that too, to project and kind of project the future.
Yeah,
It's
no,
cool.
because if you
Hence
think
the
about
astrology.
well, I know, hence the astrology. Oh, I know, right? 4 major outer planets changing signs in the next 18 months. I don't know. Get it really interesting, but no. To Rogelli's point, if you think about specifying like windows, roofing, doors, plumbing fixtures, things that sort of stay static in a space for a very long period of time. I mean, those forecast timelines could be anywhere from 5 to 12 years. And so having those color experts that are helping those companies navigate that, as well as on the architectural side, which, things don't pivot immediately. We were even talking about our consumer side, which is Krylon, Minwax, all that, and how those do pivot quite quickly. But from an architectural side, there is a shorter timeline. So to speak to your point, so that's little bit of the discussions we were having in Cleveland of what 2026 might look like, and even shaping 2027. We typically forecast about 18 months-ish or not quite 2 years out for the architectural, but obviously we're observing, like I observed a lot of great things last night at the party here at WestEdge, so lots of great things to consume from a just inspirational standpoint. But yes, I think we're seeing that pivot. One of the most interesting things, Eddie participated in the Kips Bay Show House that was in Dallas this past few weeks, and wow, not only was your space just amazing, you had these burl wood forms that helped kind of bring the space in a little bit, because the space was unique to begin with. It's actually an office building. It wasn't a home.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did these 4 burl panels on the perimeter of the room to kind of give you a hug, as you say.
Yeah.
And the majority of the room was kind of like a blood orange, oxblood color, like in the wallpaper, and mixed with some beiges, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an office building, which was interesting. We had to take out all the acoustical tile ceilings, and
Yeah.
so.
But what I saw, like, kind of throughout the space, throughout not just your space, but all the space, most of the spaces in general, was extremely bold color. My Dallas people, like, extremely personalized and bold color, happy color. It was really exciting, and so. Just seeing too, like that's even a conversation we've had on the podcast, is how people have been for many years in this, as skyrocketing prices for properties have gone up, you're kind of in this flip mindset of keeping things neutral, but then like now maybe we're going to stay and just remodel because interest rates are up and all the things. And so now maybe you get that chance to make your home more personal.
I think everyone wants a dopamine hit right now. Like everything is bright and happy because we need it.
Yes. I mean, go ahead. You were going to say something, Ro?
No, I love it. And I know you mentioned like things are warming up right now, especially from shifting to grays, to whites, to warmer colors. And I love your forecast of even getting warmer with that Bosch pair. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see if it goes and continues to go in that direction, but I'm feeling it. So for sure.
Well, and
Kerrie?
even as you guys talked about coatings and you guys dictating for all these other brands, did you guys know that they do floor coatings? And we're working on a commercial space, and I feel like this is this
Terrazzo.
hidden
High performance.
secret for
Yeah. I
had no idea.
Sherwin-Williams.
Yes,
I mean, we did all
thanks,
the
Kerrie.
walls, talk about the 6th wall.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, for this commercial space, we're able to incorporate Sherwin-Williams on the floor. And I feel like our rep, who's amazing, who I've known for years, was scared to tell me about it. And he's like, well, I have these things. And he shows me. I'm like, where did that come from? Like, since when? And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that collection?
A little bit. Actually, Tom Brummett, who will be in the Connoisseurs Club after this, will actually be our expert that's on hand to talk about high-performance flooring. But we do everything from terrazzo to metallic stains to all sorts of great finishes that are not just for your garage floor and a DIYer, but really can be elevate a space. Obviously, we're very much into commercial spaces as well, so a lot of times it can be cost prohibitive to have that in a residential space, but depending on the client and what their budget is, certainly that could be an option. Because we know terrazzo's come a long way over the last few years, and you can customize it and make it whatever.
It's also indestructible.
Yes, exactly. Think of all those suitcases rolling around the airport and the terrazzo. I always think of that, like that's some strong flooring in the terrazzo. So yeah.
I know that we're getting waved, so we wanted some time for the audience to ask a few questions for the panel.
Yep.
So I'll hand it all over to Josh, if that's okay.
Yep. Thanks, Ro.
So I absolutely loved this year releasing the loneliest color. And I love the way that they twisted something that I think you said earlier, people are terrified of yellows, but what do you guys think would be your loneliest color, a color you love that you almost have to convince clients to see the possibilities of? And now I'm nervous, so I'm talking fast.
Purple. Purple. No one ever wants to use purple, and it's my favorite color. Yeah, it's always kind of a wrangle, a challenge, but I usually get my way by usually adding a little bit of brown to it, or neutral colors to the space to balance it out. But I think it's just like for a bedroom, for a guest bedroom, it's one of the best colors you can use.
I think orange is also a hard sell sometimes, but I love how we've gone really into these terracotta sort of brownie oranges. So we're seeing it show up in that way. But yeah, he's a lonely guy, orange.
Yeah. Adventure orange. Yeah.
Yellow. That was that's been the hardest one. That's actually why I did it at my kitchen, just to show like, hey, you can make it work.
Yeah, we were going through a process of picking designer colors for Fabuwood cabinetry, and I had brought up the yellow, and Julie and I were trying to get that perfect mustardy tone that is relatable, that you would incorporate into your space. And so I think it takes some tweaking, some adding some brown, some getting some grounding effect into these colors for them to sing in a space.
Right, to say yes. Yep.
Hello, my name is Susan Moss. I'm an artist, and I use color. And I love your making up colors, because when I'm working, I make up colors all the time, constantly. And you can see my work at BG Gallery in Bergamot. The opening's tomorrow night from 5 to 8, and it'll be up for 3 weeks. And I'd love you all to come. Thank you.
What would your
you.
color be? If you were to make a color name, what would your color be?
I think mud green.
Okay. I love it. Anybody else?
I think I'm loud enough, but after you finish, you don't need the microphone.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys, what is your favorite Sherwin-Williams paint quality? I know what my obsession is, the emerald satin.
Okay.
Designer edition.
Designer edition. Yeah.
I feel like you made it for us. Designer edition. Emerald. Proudly.
Go ahead.
What I love is that your color quality doesn't change based on the finish. Like I can do baseboards in a little bit of a different finish, and it just all really reads together, and that I think is something Sherwin-Williams does well.
Well, thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna second that, in that if you paint a color in flat on the walls and satin on the cabinets and base, that it appears exactly the same color. And that's not the case with every single paint company out there. You can paint the same color on the walls and on the base and case and have them look completely different.
True. Well, and I don't know if you want to chime in, Eddie. I had a thought, but I
was just gonna. The specific color. I just actually did my office in warm stone, and it looks amazing. So.
Oh, okay.
That's my new one.
Nice. Well, and I think what people don't, one of the misconceptions is that there's like one product, because there's every paint manufacturer, not just this one, has a variety of qualities of paint, right? So that's one of the reasons that we developed Emerald Designer Edition, because not only does it have an antimicrobial to resist mold and mildew growth on the surface of the paint surface. It won't fix your mold and mildew problems, but it will resist it if you're, like, say you've got a steam shower situation. You also won't get color bleeding or that sort of thing from those situations. I personally love the application. During COVID, I did a lot of painting. And I had a favorite of cashmere for a long time, but once I tried Emerald Designer, if you're painting, most people aren't painting themselves, but I was, and oh my gosh, it rolled on like butter on hot toast. It was amazing. And not even too much back roll for covering the texture, things like that. So.
Washability flat. Too.
Yeah, washable flats.
Yeah, the
Thank
designer
you.
edition has a washability flat finish that you get the function and the look that you want within this space too.
Yes, great point, Ro. Thank you.
So, and I know everybody has a different process. Where do you put your color? I'm going to start with Breegan. Where do you put your color? Do you put it on the floor first? Do you put it on the wall first? Do you put it on a wall decor first? What's your first spot for color, and where do you go from there?
My first spot for color, well, I just got these amazing colorful rugs from a company you might have heard of, Fazy. No, I do think rugs are a great place for me personally for color, because it's just a grounding way to add it into a space, and it also adds some personality. I personally am inundated with color as a professional in this business, so I like to keep my visual line very clean because my brain is overactive in creativity. So the grounding space of floors, I mean, yeah, thanks.
It's always different, and I think, because our projects are so diverse, and our clients, we always start with, is there something that they're using in the room already that we want to start from? So it could be a rug, it could be wallpaper. We do a lot of wallpaper. It could be a chair. I love your example, like you said, of the the painted ceilings, of the stenciling. I mean, it's going to be like, what is the most important element of that space that is bringing the most joy to the client?
Typically, we're taking a piece of something they love and using that as inspiration as a starting point. And then I'm constantly thinking of, what is this backdrop to their life going to look like? And paint is often that first layer of the backdrop. And then how do we layer upon that with artwork and drapery and cabinetry and all the other things? So, yeah, constantly thinking of the backdrop of their life.
I'm going to answer this slightly differently in that, how I really pick paint, it actually is one of the very last things that I do. I'll have a color that I might specify with, with everything else, but really it comes down to painting it on the walls, painting out every single wall in the room, and like you said, looking at it all times a day. And the other thing I found myself doing recently is that even if I'm going to do a neutral palette throughout the entire house, I actually might choose a different color in every space, depending on the orientation of the room, depending on the natural light that it gets, depending on, so many different factors. So yeah, it's a little bit different every time, but I actually usually kind of back it off and leave it to the last, and I like to see it on the walls in the space.
Yeah, no, and I know for 17 years as Sherwin-Williams paint rep, that's one of the things that you as designers have always told me, is that paint's one of the most challenging things that you do, because it does chameleon, it does do different things, whether you're Western exposure, Northern exposure, whatever that looks like, and then other elements in the room can reflect up and sometimes tweak your color, make it maybe go wonky, but as color experts, you guys know how to overcome that, so. Do you ever have those challenges? Or I don't want to keep asking questions if we have questions for the audience, but.
Any more? No, I think we're good.
Yeah. Okay. Any quick notes on what's up and next? Books, product collabs, all those things real quick before we wrap up?
Sure. My wallpaper company is about to have a big launch in 2025. Is that next year? Yeah, that's right.
Moments away.
Moments away.
Yes.
We'll be launching around LCDQ, and we've always been a very small boutique line. I think we have a max of 12 different designs, and we're doubling that this year, and with 12 colorways for everything. So we're going to go from I think we currently have 52 offerings to 152 offerings in the next couple of months. So that's really exciting to me.
Wow. Yeah, we're designing a lot of spaces to welcome designers and homeowners alike. We are designing Heston Napa in downtown Napa, where you can come and drink wine and test the appliances, have some nosh, indoor or outdoor, and buy some cookware. We also are designing four KBIZ. Yeah, KBIZ booths, so come see us in Las Vegas. Jen Air, Plain and Fancy, Fabuwood, Feeney. So we look forward to welcoming you there. You'll see Sherwin-Williams colors. That's what we specify throughout. So very exciting time for that. So.
I have a beautiful new mantle collection called Arcana by Maestri.
That's gorgeous.
There are 12 different designs. Each design is different. It's based on sketches that I do around the world and incorporate them into the designs of the mantles.
Okay.
I have a book coming out in March. It's my first design coffee table book. It's around building my own home, so it's super special, and it's on pre-order right now on Amazon. Pre-orders always help. I also still have fabric and wallpaper that's global at Cravat. I'm expanding my lighting collection with Savoy and really just loving product design.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, thank you all again. I've just had goosebumps for weeks knowing you guys were going to be on the panel, and I'm so excited. And so thank you for such a rich conversation about color. So unlock your color potential.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherwin.